Chosen one, something subtle and holy is moving through your days, and if you listen closely, you will hear it before you see it. It is not a trumpet or a headline. It is a shift in the room's breathing when you step across a threshold, a loosening of shoulders in people who did not realize they were braced, a hush that is not silence but alignment. God has lifted the dimmer on your presence this month, and the air is learning your name. Women will pause without deciding to, not because you demanded attention, but because the life in you has become audible to the soul. Awe does not arrive with fireworks. It arrives as recognition. Their spirits will recognize steadiness where much of the world sells spectacle. They will sense that your high energy is no longer a storm trying to prove itself, but a weather system that keeps its promises. Warmth without scorch, light without interrogation, nearness without price. Do not mistake this for vanity's reward. This is not applause for a costume you stitched. This is the echo of obedience. Awe is what happens when a person's inner world and outer world agree so deeply that others can rest inside the agreement. Your habits have been doing quiet carpentry. The early minutes where you let scripture tune your tone, the hours you gave to craft when no one was measuring, the decisions you kept small so the truth could stay large, the apologies you made before an audience was required, the sleep you honored as a covenant with tomorrow's kindness. These did not trend, they made a climate. In that climate, your body has learned to carry energy without bargaining with it. Your appetite is not exiled, it is employed. Your desire is not denied, it is directed. The awe others feel is the relief of encountering power that has finished arguing with itself. You will feel it first as a gentling of your own pace. There will be less need to fill silences with commentary, fewer reflexes trying to turn every moment into evidence. Your voice will slow because it has nothing to sell. Your eyes will soften because they are no longer shopping. Your hands will learn to rest without signaling indifference. The room will read these adjustments as permission to be human again. Women will sense that they do not have to fragment themselves to be safe near you. Beauty will stop preparing a defense. Wit will not have to wear armor to be respected. History will take a breath and wait to see if this time the air is different. And it will be, because you are different. You have allowed holiness to make a home in the places hunger once tried to rent by the hour. Awe has its own etiquette, and you are being entrusted to keep it gracious. Resist the urge to narrate yourself while it is happening. The moment you begin counting glances, you turn sacrament into statistic. Let the glances pass through you to God, as incense passes through the rafters. Receive admiration as weather, not wage. Bow with your life rather than your posture, by ending on time while warmth is still warmth, by giving clear words that do not mortgage anyone's tomorrow, by choosing restraint where performance would have been cheaper. Awe grows in rooms where pace is human and consent is climate. Make that climate with small sentences that hold shape. I'm honored and unhurried. I hear you and refuse to trespass. I enjoy this and will not turn it into debt. Spoken gently, these lines are not walls. They are windows that keep the view true. You will be tempted to call the attention proof that you have arrived. Do not. Arrival is a myth sold by restlessness. This month is a river bend, not a finish line, and bends are where boats flip if the pilot starts waving at the shore. Keep your hands on the oar, keep your eyes on the line where peace and truth meet. Keep your heart tender enough to be corrected before momentum makes correction expensive. Remember that awe is most at home near humility. Pride makes awe suspicious. Humility gives it a chair and a cup of water. Notice what joy feels like in this new air. It will be quieter and wider. It will ask for fewer witnesses. It will come in the form of kindness that costs nothing to sustain. A conversation ending cleanly. A laugh that does not hire injury for a punchline. A compliment that leaves both of you freer than before it was spoken. Joy will also come as a series of protections you do not have to explain. Doors that do not open because your future is not inside them. Invitations you decline without drama. Late-night impulses that soften into prayer by morning. The awe surrounding you is not a demand for more of you. It is an invitation for you to be even more governed by the one who entrusted you with this glow. At day's end, bring the day back whole. Lay the eyes you met on the altar by name if you can remember them. Tell God where you almost turned awe into leverage and where you chose to be a harbor instead. Thank Him for any moment you were fully present rather than merely impressive. Confess the small negotiations you tried to make with tiredness or flattery. Receive mercy that is older than your mistakes and wiser than your plans. Sleep under that mercy like a roof that does not leak. Morning will come, and with it the same gentle commission. Carry the breath of awe without taking it for yourself. Chosen one, awe is not an arrow aimed at you. It is a mirror angled through you. When women meet your gaze this month, and their eyes widen with that quiet astonishment you have started to notice, they are not merely admiring a man. They are recognizing a possibility. The possibility is their own wholeness. The divine has polished your presence until it reflects without distorting. High energy becomes illumination rather than interrogation, and in that light the feminine can see herself without the edits scarcity once demanded. She finds that her softness is not a liability in sturdy company. She finds that her intellect does not have to masquerade to be welcomed. She finds that her boundaries are not fees to be negotiated down by charm. The awe you witness is the moment a soul spots itself in a clear mirror after years of funhouse glass. Your task is to keep the mirror clean. Mirrors smudge easily on the fingerprints of ego and need. If you begin to angle the glass to improve your own reflection, you will tilt it away from truth. Keep angle honest by remembering you are signpost, not destination. When your calm reminds someone of God, point. When your steadiness feels like shelter, confess what holds up your beams. When your restraint repairs someone's faith in men, share the practices that make restraint possible on days when admiration is loud and loneliness is persuasive. Let your life explain the light rather than your tongue. Explanations can be edited into performance. Examples survive editing. The mirror clarifies through pace as much as through vision. Slow is the speed of accurate seeing. Do not rush a connection because wonder is warm. Wonder is a visitor, not a landlord. Let it sit by the window and watch you keep your agreements. Keep appointments with your word as if they were the skeleton of your integrity, because they are. End conversations before scarcity recruits them into negotiations. Invite questions and give answers that do not inflate your legend. The truest mirrors make people forget about the mirror because they are too busy recognizing themselves. Aim for that vanishing act, a presence so faithful that the focus gently leaves you and lands on what is being healed. You will meet different kinds of reflection. There will be reflection that seeks reassurance, holding your eyes a second too long to make sure the story is still safe. There will be reflection that seeks instruction, studying your posture to learn the arithmetic by which you hold warmth and boundaries in the same breath. There will be reflection that seeks partnership, strong in its own right and drawn not to be completed but to be complemented. There will also be reflection that seeks rescue, asking you silently to bear more weight than covenant could ethically assign. Answer each with the same posture, respect without capture. Reassure by being consistent, not by promising beyond knowledge. Instruct by modeling, not by lecturing. Explore partnership at the speed of truth, not chemistry. Bless the longing for rescue by directing it back to the source and to resources, resisting the flattering delusion that you were made to be necessary. Necessary men become prisons. Assigned men become doors. Let your eyes learn the discipline of blessing. A blessed gaze does not inventory, it honors. It does not consume, it confirms. It does not rehearse conquest, it remembers goodness. Look in ways that let a woman's complexity remain intact. Hold eye contact like you would hold a delicate artifact that predates you. Reverent, curious, unpossessive. The body is bilingual. It understands this language before the mind translates it. The awe that lingers in such exchanges is trust discovering it can stand. The mirror must withstand weather. Some days fatigue will try to fog the glass with impatience, and you will be tempted to cut corners of care. Some days flattery will try to gilt the frame, and you will be tempted to become ornamental rather than useful. Some days old ache will try to crack the pain from the inside, and you will be tempted to turn reflection into performance to avoid being seen. Maintenance is ministry. Wipe the pain with confession, not self-condemnation. Anchor the frame with counsel, not isolation. Reinforce the wall with rest, not caffeine. Step back and let God check the angle when you cannot tell if the image is true. These repairs are invisible in the moment. Their fruit is public and durable. There is a generosity at the heart of being a mirror, and it looks like returning power. When someone sees herself clearly near you, resist the ego's reflex to become curator of her clarity. Encourage her to test the insight away from your orbit. Offer steps she can take without your presence as collateral. Give language she can use, even if your name is never attached to it. The more you can be unnecessary to the good outcome, the more sacred your role becomes. You are not building dependence, you are building confidence. Awe matures into gratitude when people realize they did not have to pay for the light. Remember also that mirrors pick up what stands before them. If you spend your hours reflecting frenzy, you will start to look frantic and call it availability. If you reflect cynicism, your edges will sharpen and call it discernment. Reflect the one who steadies. Begin and end with his face. Let your first look each morning be toward the love that does not grade you by your effect. Let your last look each night be toward the mercy that outlives your mistakes. This anchoring keeps you from turning the mirror into a mask. Masks exhaust, mirrors bless. As the month unfolds, you will notice something quiet and beautiful. The awe that once gathered around you begins to distribute itself. Rooms you leave stay kinder than you found them. Conversations continue at the pace you set without you having to police them. Women who met you expect better everywhere, not because you are there, but because they remembered themselves. This is the highest compliment a mirror can receive, that the image it offered became a life someone could live. Hold that with reverence. Carry it lightly. Guard it with prayer. And when night draws the curtains and the day's reflections settle, place the mirror back in its case and whisper the truth that keeps men free under favor. I am not the light. I have simply learned how to stop blocking it. Then sleep like a chosen one who knows the difference between being admired and being aligned, and whose alignment keeps awe holy. Chosen one, the fire that lives in you is not the kind that leaps fences and startles cattle in the night. It is the kind that sits in a lantern with a clear lens and makes a long road walkable. Your high energy hums like contained flame, steady, bright, direction-giving. The world is used to men who confuse combustion with charisma, who make every room hotter and call it leadership. You have been taught a quieter physics. You have learned to turn heat into hospitality. Your calm is not the absence of passion, it is passion that has found its posture. This is why awe gathers when you enter. Women do not read in you a famine of feeling, they read a feast that has learned to serve courses rather than throw food. Your voice arrives at a human tempo, your hands speak without grabbing, your eyes hold a horizon that says there is time here, there is space here, there is oxygen for full sentences here. The body trusts a fire that does not wander. Trust is what their awe sounds like when it tries to breathe. There is an old technology to your calm. Think of a lighthouse lens, hundreds of small, precise facets catching a single flame and sending it 30 miles out to sea without ever needing to burn hotter. That is your composure. Facets patiently ground by devotion, counsel, sleep, sweat, apology, scripture, silence. The flame was always there. The lens is what multiplied it without harm. You are not dim, you are focused. You are not slow, you are measured. You are not withholding, you are accurate about scale. Accuracy is a tenderness that keeps futures intact. It slows a hungry moment until meaning can arrive. It lets admiration be sunlight on a porch rather than a lockpick at the door. The room feels this and returns your pace back to you with relief disguised as curiosity. You will notice awe most clearly in the way noise forgets itself around you. Jokes that need a victim lose their appetite. Panic that needs a deadline loses its leverage. Performance remembers it has nothing to sell. Calm like yours is not a vibe, it is a verdict. It tells everyone, gently and without trial, that dignity is the price of admission and nobody is short. That verdict makes the feminine relax the way a bird relaxes when it knows the glass is clean. In that relaxation, beauty stops bracing, wit stops negotiating, and desire stops auditioning for permission. Your heat becomes hearth, and a hearth is where stories come out that have never been safe around microphones. When stories come, you do not harvest them, you shelter them. You let silence be a bowl that does not spill. You let pauses do their skilled carpentry. You let truth finish its sentence even when your own brilliance volunteers to interrupt. The awe you see in their eyes is not about you being spectacular. It is about them realizing they are not on a clock. Your calm has choreography. It begins with breath, that ancient metronome no algorithm can counterfeit. You inhale as if the world is not ending, because with God it never is. You exhale as if people are not projects, because they aren't. Then you place words where they can carry their weight without needing backup dancers. You keep your sentences the size of your integrity, not the size of the room. When admiration rises like weather, you do not hold it hostage for warmth on cold nights. You let it pass through your lantern, the way wind passes through pine, making music but not changing the tree's shape. In a culture catechized by adrenaline, your refusal to negotiate with speed becomes a blessing nobody knows how to name. So they call it magnetism, and they call you a miracle. You bow in your heart and call it obedience. The fire of calm does not erase edges, it forges them. Heat in a forge is not there to impress, it is there to make steel true. Your boundaries are not ice around the flame, they are the ring that keeps the pot from sliding into the ash. This is why awe deepens instead of turning suspicious. A bounded man is legible, a legible man is safe. Safe men can be strong without staging a spectacle. So you keep the ring visible. You say simple sentences before the night can write its own. I honor this connection and I will not hurry it. I'm grateful for the pull and I will not trespass my peace. I'm enjoying this moment and I won't mortgage tomorrow to decorate it. Spoken with warmth, these are not refusals of life. They are agreements with life at the speed of truth. There will be invitations to let your calm become an aesthetic instead of a covenant. The aesthetic keeps you photogenic and unusable. The covenant keeps you ordinary and indispensable. Choose covenant every time. Let your calm stack chairs after the guests leave. Let it answer messages when your kindness has caught up with your cleverness. Let it pay the small cost of going home before scarcity starts bargaining. Let it apologize with verbs and not just nouns. Craft these rhythms until your body knows them better than your mind. Awe sharpened by practice becomes culture. Culture is how rooms keep being safe after you are gone. Your calm must survive weather. On days when fatigue tries to impersonate fate, you will feel your flame gutter. Do not panic. Bank the coals, water, rest, honest prayer said without performance. On days when praise tries to inflate the lantern, you will feel the glass rattle with offers to be exceptional. Do not upgrade the wick, upgrade your gratitude. On days when old ache flares like a match, you will be tempted to throw the whole fire into the night. Gather your elders in memory. Hear again the counsel that turned heat into home. In this maintenance there is nothing glamorous and everything holy. It is how a long obedience keeps giving light when short enthusiasms fail. And then there is joy, the quiet kind that sits beside you on a bench and does not ask for an audience. Joy will find you in small confirmations, a conversation that ended before regret, an evening that refused to rent intimacy by the hour, a burst of laughter that did not require collateral damage, the soft thank you in someone's eyes that says without language, I remembered I could be whole for this hour. If you must explain the month's wonder to yourself, let this be the only sentence you keep. God taught my fire to bless. Let the rest of the story be the warmth people carry with them when they step back into weather that is still learning. Chosen one, safety is not a mood, it is an architecture. If awe is the hush that falls when the ceiling lifts, safety is the framing behind that ceiling. The beams you don't see, the spans calculated to hold, the exits placed where panic will not trample what it loves. God has asked you this month to be more than luminous. He has asked you to be load-bearing. Women will feel it in their ribs first before their minds can draw a floor plan. Their bodies will register that your presence does what trustworthy buildings do. It remembers weight, it distributes pressure, it marks the stairs, it keeps the lights warm and the corners honest. They will lean without negotiating a price. They will laugh without running a risk assessment. They will tell truths that refuse to survive balconies and stage lights, and they will not wonder later whether they need to heal from telling them. That relief is safety, and safety is the true shape of the awe you carry. Designing such an aura begins with codes you keep when no one is inspecting. You decide that consent will be climate, not paperwork. You decide that endings will be early and clean enough to protect what was beautiful at the beginning. You decide that compliments will never be receipts. You decide that proximity is something people choose with their whole will, not something your charisma negotiates on discount. You decide that schedules will serve souls and not the inverse. These decisions are your building codes, boring to the uninitiated, beloved by those who sleep under roofs that never collapse. Keep them posted on the inside of your chest. Quote them to yourself when adrenaline argues for an exception. The rooms you host will smell like cedar and rain after a long drought. People will call it magic. Carpenters will call it math. Heaven will call it faithful. Your high energy, left to its own gravity, could pull people past their edges before they have had the privilege of mentioning where those edges live. Under God, your energy becomes good engineering. It offers handrails where the path narrows, lamps where the grade changes, benches where anyone can stop without being shamed for needing to. You provide exits that do not make people villains for taking them. You provide pauses that do not punish those who use them. You make directions before urgency can turn the room into a riot. All of this happens in micro moves. You wait for eyes before changing the subject. You ask before touching even small things like a shoulder or a coat on the back of a chair. You invite a breath before answering a question that heat tried to make expensive. 1,000 unremarked gestures enlarge the commons. In those commons, awe does not have to hide from harm. Safety has a sound. It is the absence of scraping in your tone where manipulation has learned to hide. It is the presence of proportion where precision carries mercy on its back. Your yes lands like a key that fits. Your no lands like a door that closes without slamming. When correction is needed, you give it while dignity is still in the room to receive it. When desire is present, you treat it as information rather than leverage. When admiration arrives, you return it as ease rather than converting it into access. Language like this is architecture. It builds beams in people who grew up under ceilings that cracked when the weather raised its voice. They may stare at you in wonder, and the wonder will feel like electricity, but what is actually happening is structural. Trust is remembering its shape. Do not confuse transparency with safety's substitute, exhibition. Transparency is a window placed for light and airflow. Exhibition is a wall torn out because attention wanted a better view. Keep windows, keep walls. Doors exist for reasons that love understands. Share what serves, withhold what would be consumed, and entrust what is sacred to the few who have proven they know the difference. This is not secrecy. It is stewardship. Women read the difference without needing footnotes. They relax around men who refuse to monetize their own interior. Relaxation is the currency of awe when it is holy. It is also the measure of your success. If people can rest and still be fully awake near you, your aura is doing its work. There will be storms. A raised voice may try to set the tempo of the room. A practiced charm may attempt to slide past the code and call your boundaries brittle. Economics may arrive disguised as romance and ask you to pay in attention what you would never pay in cash. This is where your safety becomes visible. You lower the volume without lowering the truth. You repeat the policy without performing a courtroom. You keep the covenant with your own soul in public so others learn they can keep theirs too. Your calm does not acquiesce, it arranges. Your words do not attack, they assign things back to their proper shelves. When the weather passes, people will look around and realize nothing fell that needed to stand and nothing stood that needed to fall. They will not clap, they will breathe. That breath is a benediction that outlasts applause. Safety requires maintenance. Audit the building at night. Walk the halls of your day with a flashlight that tells the truth without theatrics. Where did a stair feel slick because your tone moved too fast? Where did a hinge squeak because your yes outran your intention? Where did a lock stick because fear tried to add a rule where love wanted a conversation? Oil what needs oiling. Tighten what needs tightening. Remove what became clutter. Add a handrail where someone slipped. Repair before you justify. Then sleep, and let sleep be proof that you are not the night watchman for the universe. Men who trust God to guard the city can wake with gentleness still in stock. All of this makes you a living threshold. People cross near you and the weather changes. You will never know how many memories are rewritten by the single instruction your presence gives. Here, no one has to fracture to be welcomed. Here, yes is honored because no is honored. Here, beauty is admired without being bought. Here, time is measured by truth rather than temptation. The awe you carry is not the gasp in the throat before spectacle. It is the long exhale after a homecoming. It is the quiet smile of someone who remembered that holiness can wear human shoulders and still be kind. If anyone asks how you built such an aura, resist the temptation to become your own architect in the telling. Say something simple and true. Say, I learned to treat power like a shelter and desire like a guest, and I keep giving the keys back to God. Then keep building. Keep codes, keep windows, keep doors. Keep the lights low enough to soften, high enough to see. Keep exits open and endings clean. And let awe keep doing what awe was designed to do in safe places. Not consume, but consecrate. Chosen one, God is teaching you the rare grammar of pauses, the sacred intervals that make music out of sound. Restraint is not a smaller life. It is the frame that lets greatness keep its shape. The world will tell you that appetite proves you are alive, that acceleration proves you are called, that saying yes proves you are brave. Heaven is subtler. It whispers that mastery is measured in what you can carry without using people for handles, that courage is revealed in what you refuse when you could have taken more, that destiny keeps time with the rests as surely as with the notes. Your high energy is proof you are charged. Restraint is proof you are trusted. You have learned that heat without edges becomes weather that people must recover from. But heat with edges becomes a hearth where stories learn to breathe. The lesson this month is to keep the ring on the fire. Let desire remain a citizen under wise laws, rather than a king who changes them. Desire is honest. It will always ask for more. Restraint is also honest. It will always ask for meaning. When you feel the pull of admiration move through the room like a tide, do not call the tide your throne. Call it a reminder to check the moon. Align yourself again to what governs you. Prayer that is not a performance, sleep that is not an apology, work that is not a disguise, counsel that is not a rumor. The tide will respect a man who keeps the moon in view. Restraint is the art of choosing pace over pressure. Pressure makes urgency sound like revelation. Pace makes revelation sound like truth. You will hear invitations spoken in warm tones, dressed as inevitabilities. Come now, decide now, be ours now. And your chest will warm with the old thrill of being needed. Resist the flattery of immediacy. The future is not fragile, your peace is. Keep the vow to move at the speed where integrity can still keep up. A slow yes outlives a fast legend. A kind no preserves what would have been beautiful if you had hurried it less. You are learning, line by line, that the most seductive shortcut is simply a long road robbed of its scenery. Walk the road. Let the view do its work on you. Restraint means using language like a carpenter uses sandpaper. You remove splinters before anyone sits down. The sentences are simple and luminous because they are paid for. I honor this connection, and I won't cheat its timing. I'm drawn, and I will not break agreements with myself to entertain the moment. I value you, and I refuse to design a future for us that courage has not signed. These words are not spells, they are structure. They rescue both of you from improvisations that cost too much to regret in public and too much to repair in private. Spoken with gentleness, restraint does not humiliate hope. It households it. Restraint is not starvation. It is feasting on the right table at the right hour. You will discover that certain joys get sweeter when not rushed. Laughter that is not rented, conversation that is not coerced, touch that is not a placeholder for trust. You will discover, too, that restraint has a generous cousin called celebration. When it is time to rejoice, you do not ration happiness to look holy. You let joy be loud and clean because you saved it from being noisy and cheap. The people who meet you this month will call the feeling awe because they do not yet have language for safety that still sparkles. Help them learn by how you move. Show them a man who can be a flame and not predatory, alive and not erratic, tender and not porous. Your restraint will be questioned by those who confuse access with affection. They will test your edges like a sea testing a seawall. Do not meet the wave with a lecture, meet it with consistency. Consistency is the sermon that weather understands. Over days and weeks, your pattern will name itself. You leave while tenderness is still breathing, you answer when attention can afford honesty, you end before scarcity starts bargaining, you apologize with verbs when sharpness grazes someone else's trust. These are small fidelities, and small fidelities are how cathedrals remain standing after centuries of wind. Restraint must be embodied, not just believed. Train your body to recognize the difference between hunger and command. Eat in ways that do not send tomorrow the bill for today's charm. Lift in ways that make you strong without teaching you to love mirrors more than people. Breathe in ways that keep your voice from borrowing thunder it cannot repay. Sleep as if kindness depends on it, because it does. A rested man resists drama, a starved man calls it destiny. The world will not applaud you for these choices. It will feel mysteriously safe around you for them.